If you knew morning wood, then you know why I feel blue. Without morning, my morning wood. Oh, well, I love you, yes, I love you, morning wood. Morning wood, morning wood. Oh, how my heart yearns for you. Oh, morning, my morning wood. Oh, well, I love you, yes, I love you, morning wood. Morning wood, morning wood. Pretty, 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 pretty morning wood. Oh, morning, my morning wood. Oh, well, I love you and I need you, morning wood. I love you.
Rise and shine. Happy Devil's Tuesday. This is The Morning Woo, coming to you live from the Primetime Radio studios inside the bunker, undisclosed location in beautiful New Jersey. Streaming live on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, X Live, Twitch, and now on Instagram Live on the Let's Go Devils Network. As every Devils fan in the past 72 hours have playing that game called Armchair GM. Yes. Everybody's got their trade proposals. None of them are realistic. Or at least some. It's like trade deadline coming early because Tom Fitzgerald has to do something. The pressure is on. Team, the Devils, are on a 5-game losing streak. Losing left and right. Happy Devil's Tuesday to you, Maria. But yeah, Chris Wilson wrote in the comments last podcast, thank you, Sam, for being one of the only people I've seen that acknowledges trades require two parties. I see too many armchair GMs, that's where I got the idea of the title of today's podcast, who say just trade this guy and this guy done. It's so easy. Anybody could do it. Stop it. And also, Chris, I want to respond to your other comment the other day. I was going to do that yesterday, but then I lost your comment because I do harp on the whole thing about Logan Cooley. But to your credit, I never really ever explained why I keep harping on it. So I'm going to tell you why I harp on Tom Fitzgerald not selecting Logan Cooley and taking Shimon Nemitz. The reason why, and I'm going to be quite frank, Tom Fitzgerald's drafting, for the most part, his team has been so-and-so mediocre. And if you can't get a top 5 right, that's not good. There have been draft picks in the later parts of the first round, like Shakir Muhammadulin. He's covered it up by trading the assets, but Alexander Holtz, 7th overall. Chase Stillman, that extra draft pick you got. I forgot where that came from. I think it may have come from, was it Tampa? No, it wasn't Tampa. Forgot where that came from. Or was it the Islanders? But regardless, it just so happens that Vancouver Canucks what's been going back and forth, they really want a centerman, ironically. And the Devils have none to give. And not trying to harp on it, Chris, but this just proves if you don't draft well, it's going to cost you more assets in the end. And that's all I have to say about that. But, yeah, I mean, I've moved on from it. You know, I like Nemec, but, again, you know, what's more valuable? A right-handed moving mobile defenseman or an all-star centerman down the middle? They're about equal. So, you know, I honestly think that right now there are a lot of trade proposals. What the Devils need. Steven Stamkos, 35 years old. With the amount of money he's making, you got to move salary. You got to move assets. If you don't have the salary to move, the other team has to dance. Takes two to tango. Roman says, can't wait to chant "We Want Quinn" for 2.5 hours on Sunday. Yes, the two matinee games this upcoming weekend, that Sunday edition, will be against the Vancouver Canucks. And Roman's, I'm assuming, kidding around. Plot for Quinn and a first. We'd be getting fleeced, but you have to give to get. Happy Devil's Tuesday to you, Ted. Some of the boys not practicing yesterday made me nervous, says Maria. Yes, I think you're referring to Jesper Bratt and Timo Meier taking maintenance days. I think everyone's entitled to a day off, especially with the condensed scheduling. I think that's just smart, to be quite honest. And it doesn't worry me. What worries me is this condensed schedule has not allowed the Devils to really focus on some of their deficiencies in practice, and they don't have much time to make the changes because the free fall may continue if they can't get it together and figure it out. Steve Engel, Celia Fondrick, Mercer, Hamilton with retention, a first for Quinn and Sherwood. There's another proposal. Seeing proposals everywhere. But let's stick to what the Devils should be doing. And I'm going to go, but this should not be new because we've talked about this on the podcast. In preseason, Chigoresh asked us, every 10 games, we should ask this question: which winger should Fitzy make the move for Jack Hughes, to place with Jack Hughes? But Steven Stamkos is 35 years old. That would be a temporary fix, a very expensive temporary fix for the next couple of years. We're thinking a player that's in their mid-20s, near Jack's age, that can score goals, that can open up the ice for Jack Hughes. Give Jack Hughes a lot of options. The Stamkos thing is intriguing, but if I were to have my choice out of Nashville, it would be Forsberg and O'Reilly, and you're going to pay a lot to get those two. If it were my choice, I would go bold. But I know that Barry Trotz is not going to give up Forsberg that easily. But you never know. You never know. But I think that's where the Devils' greater need is right now. Is that top six. But the Quinn Hughes thing is interesting because do the Devils really need to make that trade? I would say no. But when you have other teams in the Eastern Conference that are inquiring, especially the Philadelphia Flyers, are they bluffing or are they not? You have to respond. And would you want Quinn Hughes sooner rather than later? We talked about the free agency. You could wait it out, but so much can happen in a year and a half. But I think the most important thing, when you hear these trade rumors, that Tom Fitzgerald is not just looking for great players coming back. He's looking for leadership. Stamkos, former captain, Tampa Bay Lightning. Ryan O'Reilly, definitely a leader. Quinn Hughes, even a captain. Definitely a leader. And I think leadership is a very underrated asset to have in your lineup. You need leadership to steer the ship that is sailing without a compass right now, where you're on a 5-game losing streak. That's where great leadership comes in, to right the ship. Instead of status quo, next game, we'll try to figure it out. No. Holding each other accountable. Accountability is everything. If you want greatness, because the goal is to win the Stanley Cup, you got to be great. You can't just be above average. You have to be exceptional. You have to have laser focus. Not too high, not too low. Just your head down, keep chipping away, and work at it. Certainly, trading for Quinn Hughes would be a big splash. The cost involved, how do you make that work? And I've said this from day one. I don't think it's going to be easy for Fitzy to pull that trade with Vancouver without bringing another team in. Unless he's able to convince players with no movement or partial no trade clauses to waive it. But why would you want to leave New Jersey now for Vancouver? Nobody does. They're all exiting out of Calgary, Vancouver, especially American-born players, for whatever reason. It's been discussed reasons why. But is Quinn Hughes that player that would change the dynamics of this team? Certainly would. But would it move the needle? And that's where I'm having my issue with this. I get it. There's the marketing component with it. You got to sell tickets. I'm sure David Blitzer, who talks to Tom Fitzgerald every day, who is a managing partner, owner, whatever you want to call him, of the New Jersey Devils, wanting success, but also he's gotten a taste of what playoff money looks like. And I'm sure David Blitzer is driven to see a lot more, meaning the Devils go far into the playoffs. So he's incentivized to tell Fitzy, fix this problem and do something about it. Meadowlander says, the only thing is we have in abundance is offensive defensemen. Let him. But bringing Quinn Hughes to New Jersey does do one thing. It will help keep Jack Hughes in New Jersey and keep him happy. You have Luke Hughes that's signed long-term right now. $9 million, 7 years. You bring in Quinn Hughes, you sign him to an extension. And Jack Hughes, if he can remain healthy and put up those 100 points a season, like what he was on pace for before he got hurt, maybe that's more important. I don't know. But once you bring Quinn into the New Jersey Devils, you still got to trade for O'Reilly. Or I've seen other names like Braden Shen in St. Louis, which may be more realistic because Barry Trotz is just asking for the moon. Or could there be other players out there like Jordan Kyrou, which would make more sense than Steven Stamkos at this point? Stamkos, just remember, bring some leadership. Reuniting him with Palat, assuming Palat is not going anywhere, which Palat has some leverage here. But this season, you've got to go all in. You surprisingly made the playoffs in 2023, regressed in 2024. You fired Lindy Ruff. You bring in who I think is top 5 coach in the National Hockey League, Sheldon Keefe. He wanted to take a gap year, a year off, but instead, Tom Fitzgerald, to his credit, convinced him to sign a contract, 5-year contract with your New Jersey Devils. You make the playoffs, but you were gassed in the end with injuries, without Jack Hughes, managed to muster 1 win on an overtime goal by Shimon Nemec. You got to improve on that. You got to get to at least the Eastern Conference this season if you want to move that needle. I wouldn't say it would be a success. I'm just saying to move that needle closer to a Stanley Cup. Jay Snow said Fitz should be fired for that too. Marquee extension, all the no movement clauses. Look, I don't like that contract, but it does one thing. We know what our goaltending situation is, good or bad, for the next 2 years. Make that 2.5 years. You've got Jake Allen and you've got Jacob Markstrom. Now Fitzy can concentrate on this Quinn Hughes scenario. Whether he wins the bid or not, that remains to be seen. But right now it comes down to 1 third-line center and 1 top 6 winger. And Quinn Hughes, which Jim Rutherford has been pushing for and begging somebody like New Jersey to take him. Jason, maybe it's just the players are that bad since comes Corey gone off the cliff. Metal Lamb said there will be no trades. We have handed out no movement clauses like Halloween Candy, and nobody wants Palat and Dougie at those salaries. For the AAV, yes, but those salaries have been mostly paid off, so it might attract a team to take it. That's why I'm saying maybe a third team to take those salaries off the books needs to be involved in order to get Quinn Hughes or Steven Stamkos or whoever to make that work. But also, you still got to convince the players to agree to it. And that's going to be the hard part. Can you make their lives miserable to the point where, I don't want to be here anymore. The Taylor ham sucks. I'll waive it. I don't want to be in New Jersey anymore. I don't think that's happening. But again, that's what a GM has to go through. And if you can't move those salaries, then you're just going to have to move your young assets like Seamus Casey, Shimon Nemitz, draft picks. Maybe Aminaho. I don't know. Mike Rosensberg said, I'm bearish on the Quinn trade once I found out Canada Sportsnet hockey podcast. Fitzy played college hockey with Daddy Hughes. Is this trade to benefit the franchise or enrich a friend? I think it does both. Believe me, I would think that David Blitzer would want this trade to go through. Because it will sell tickets. It brings a national spotlight on this team. You've got three brothers that all could make the U.S. Olympic team and all-star team. Playing for one team, going into their primes. If I was an owner, that's what I want. But as a GM, you have to think rationally here. But at the end of the day, David Blitzer makes the decisions. He has to give the green light to Tom Fitzgerald. And Tom Fitzgerald's on the hot seat right now because this team is going nowhere fast. And that's something that I talked about a few weeks ago. Watch out. It may happen, and it has. So the Devils play the Ottawa Senators tonight. Big week ahead after laying goose eggs of no points in the past week and a half. So they're on the road. And then this weekend is going to be very interesting. Because you got the Tampa Bay Lightning on Thursday. We'll be at American Whiskey Game Day Live. And then back-to-back home games. Both matinee against the Ducks and Canucks. Oh, that rhymes. Ducks and Canucks. Before you go out to Vegas and the Utah, the Devils have a hard schedule coming up. All these teams are pretty good. With the exception of Vancouver Canucks. But the Hughes Bowl or Hughes 2/3 Bowl. Well, in other news, Jack Hughes is skating. That's all we know. He's skating, which is good. But as far as we know, he's on schedule with his timeline of his recovery. So I think it's good news. It's better than hearing a setback. Jason, we're a soft perimeter team. It's not how you win consistently. I agree. Devil's Disguise says, any players really wanting to quit Devils in New Jersey? I strongly doubt it. But yeah. All right, well, we're going to get out of here. Dropping the podcast in about 10 minutes. I will have my gear in the general woo. In case news breaks, set up the satellite dish, and we'll have breaking news if any trades go down. Wasted Youth Caper, smash the like for Sam. Hey, from Cape Breton, Sam. Holy whatever the snow that dumped on us yesterday. I want O'Reilly. 40 centimeters. We are Imperial. I think that's what it's called. Imperial versus metric. It's inches. Feet. I don't even know what centimeters, kilometers, whatever. I don't know what any of that. Celsius. Sorry, our Canadian listeners. I get confused by it. To me, it's Fahrenheit. Anyway. Well, I want to thank all those tuning in. Again, dropping the podcast in 10 minutes. But before I go, just want to salute to you, the Devils fans. The armchair GMs that are out there entertaining all of us in the internet world. On social media, with your trade proposals that make no sense whatsoever. And I also salute those that make realistic trade proposals that do make sense. But most of them are horrible. Are you kidding me? But anyway, but it's good that you love your New Jersey Devils. Cheers to that. All right. This is the Morning Woo. Till next time, let's go Devils.
I love you, yes, I love you. Morning Woo. Morning